Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Survivor Global for Survivor 48. I'm your host, Shannon Guss. I wasn't going to be doing Global this week, and then this episode happened, and then I sat on it for 2 days, and then I was like, I have so many thoughts. So now I'm here, and Pooya and I were going to podcast about Australian Survivor, and we thought, why don't we also do 48? We're pulling a bit of a double today. You guys will hear over the next couple of days, which is so exciting. Pooya, thank you so much for really leaning into my worst impulses where I cannot stay away from a strange vote like this on Survivor.
Of course, two things. First of all, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Second, how could I say no to the opportunity to get the first front row seat to say congratulations on not winning the draft for Survivor 48. We'll see you for Survivor 49, Shannon. But
I know.
happy to be here.
Like I said, it was a tough week, and I didn't know if I could do it, and it was about the draft. That's what I meant. This is a joke I've already made on a podcast that will come out for Australian Survivor, but yeah, so unfortunate. You know what it was? It was that I didn't listen to the tribe breakdowns because I didn't have enough time, and like had I never would have picked anyone from Vula. They were so outmatched. Picking anyone from Vula was a terrible decision, but I was just focused on their stupid personalities.
And you picked two. you
I know,
double dipped.
Two. Yeah. It couldn't have gone worse. Well, it could have gone worse. I could have lost both people in the first night, but that's oh wait, no, but that did happen. That happened that one time. That happened in 41 to you, I think. Was it?
And in that season, I did have the second place finisher. So let's hope you can keep your average draft placement high. Because that's going bye-bye too, maybe. Who knows? We'll find out.
Now that I have a win, it's less about the average draft placement.
Oh, how the turntables.
No. Well, now that my average draft placement is tanking rapidly, it's becoming less about that. But anyway, like for the way that Justin went, justice for Justin and for me in my draft. He feels bad about Rob's winner pick, all of that. Like, the Future Path Survivor did the math on this. It's actually unbelievable that it's literally 1% to 2% of everything needing to go wrong. I think it's like, first they need to lose a challenge, which is honestly fairly likely, but let's not give it 100%. Into he needs to be chosen 1 and 3 on the journey. Into it needs to be a journey that you can't opt out of. He would have opted out. Into he has to then lose the journey. Into Mary has to hit 1 in 6 shot in the dark. Into Cedric has to turn away from him. It's about 1 to 2%. It's crazy. Okay, so I don't feel so bad about the way that this went because it wasn't my or Justin's fault.
You're not wrong. Were there ways it could have been salvaged a little? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
But probably not.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it. It's tiny margins considering how this ended up going for Justin. I mean, I think that where people want us to start is definitely Tribal Council with the rules that played out. How did you see this going? Were you following it, and did you agree with kind of how the machinations played out?
So this is how it went watching it at my place. When Mary runs over the scroll for the shot in the dark, I get off my chair. I get off my seat. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Because I feel like if this doesn't stay safe, it's over. I typically do not look at the time to see how many minutes are left in the episode. I had at this moment. So like something's about to happen. I just don't know what it is. So then Mary hits safe. I'm like, cool. Then we get to the revote. I was like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think a lot of people basically, if we skip to the ending part, which was the whole Cedric voting for Sae again, a lot of people are like, you just rocked yourself out of the game. What are you doing? And then at that point, I was like, okay, no, so that's not what's going to happen. I thought, okay, I remember very vividly, they're going to have a discussion on who to unanimously send. That makes sense. But then I was also like, but there's no way Cedric's vote is like has a harder carry than like Sae's vote. I know Sae's in the tie vote, but they both voted. So why does Cedric get the final say? Granted, obviously, Sae's gonna advocate for the one option that isn't her going home. So it was fascinating to me. I feel like I definitely did not mind. Like, I do not mind at all the way it went down. / don't really have an opinion on the ins and outs and the rule books of it all when it comes to what happened. But I have an inkling that I'm on an island with this one in this podcast.
A lot of people have an opinion. I mean, I listened to what Dwight did with Rob. I was talking to Andy about it yesterday, and Dwight and Andy agree. And I disagree with both of them because I think it's what you described about the unanimous Rock decision. The big discussion point that I think has come out of everything that happened was, should Sae get a say? And we're going to have to think about the terminology of all this because it's going to start getting confusing. But should she be involved in the Rocks discussion? We found out in 47 that if you are against a non-voter in the tie, you still get to vote. We liked that because we thought, why were they ever not voting? It never made sense. It doesn't make sense on a three-way tie. Everyone should vote if they can. And if you can only vote that direction, that's just how it's going to go. It used to be where you could only vote against each other. And there's so many ways that's untrue now. So, and kind of has passed just with three-way votes. So that has never made sense. We like the rule change. We hope in every instance, and we hope in doubt, that they know the rules at every point. But it seems unlikely. But we'd like that was rule change. So Sae gets her vote. And then it becomes, does Sae become involved in the Rocks discussion? And two very clunky things can happen. And it's never going to be seamless. And that's my biggest thesis point, is that it's going to be clunky one way or the other because this is too much. Because the new era has thrown every extreme at like the tiny tribes into at least not like intentional disaster tribes with the Flint and the way the tribes are created, or at least they're not trying hard enough to not create disaster tribes, lost votes, shot in the dark. This is a tribe without an idol, right? Like imagine if Sae even still has her idol and this is this tribe. So it's clunky because it's finicky because that's what the new era has done. And I honestly think it wasn't fun for me because it takes away agency, but we'll kind of talk about that. But it means that we're going to lead to one of two clunky decisions. The first is that Sae, well, what we get, that Sae inconsistently has a vote through to the rock draw discussion and then is taken out. People don't like this. Dwight didn't like this because it's inconsistent and because Dwight and Andy thought they feel like the non-voters should be punished as the targets. And at the point where Sae is then taken out of that discussion, it lessens the disparity between the voting and non-voting target, to the point where in this situation, actually Sae's vote becomes pretty inconsequential. Like either Cedric is going to vote with her, in which case his vote decides, or he's going to vote against her, as we saw, and then go to a point where then he just has full control anyway. That actually became an inconsequential vote. And we'll talk it through. But in other permutations, of course, Sae having a vote where Justin does not have a vote is important. In most ties, if it's like a 4-4, she'll win out 4-3. You know, in other situations, say it's like a 3-3-1 and the one turns against her, it's now a 3-3. She takes her group through to a rock draw and then she opts out and her allies from a minority position are advocating on her behalf. That disparity is enough for me. But people don't like the inconsistency that she votes and then she stops voting. The second thing is what we got, which is should she... So am I making sense now, firstly, on what the first part is that she opts in? Is she voting and then not voting?
Let me tell you, the listeners are nodding yes. Go on. Your guest is sitting here.
What part's confusing?
I'm getting lost in the sauce. It's not that what you're saying is confusing. It's that it's a lot of ticky-tack specific stuff.
Okay. Yeah. To broaden it, what I'm just saying is, the first one is that it's the inconsistency of her, what we saw. She's voting, then she's not in the rock discussion. It means she does have power over Justin, the non-voter, but to a point. The disparity between them as a voter and non-voter isn't absolute. There is a disparity. It'll work out much of the time, but it won't be the extreme. I'm always voting and you're always not voting. And that's the disparity between us when we're targets and I'm a voter and you're a non-voter. Mm-hmm. And so but it's inconsistent and people don't like that. The other thing, which is what the Dwights and Andys want, which I disagree with, is that she continues to vote. So then she has a say in the rocks discussion. And that means that she has total leverage in the rocks discussion because she can't be rocked out as a target. And I really don't like this because it means that she has leverage for being a target. And I hate that because being a target is a negative for me.
But
because she's never going to vote against herself. So then the only options, which Dwight agreed, it was extreme, but the only options become either Cedric's going to rock himself out and be like, I refuse to vote out Justin, or Justin has to go. She has total leverage. We saw in Cambodia, people were immune and still contributed to the rocks discussion. Jeremy, Kelly, and Spencer, because they had won or played immunity, but they had earned that leverage by being immune. I really don't like the idea of a target who has the leverage of people in the rocks discussion might go to rock. Like her leverage is I can't be rocked out, but then I don't contribute to the discussion. Then if you add the leverage of, but I'm also a part of this discussion, I mean, it's complete and it's totally overpowered. And it's just like full and total leverage where, for being a target, which is a negative to me, she gets full control. I think Cedric's vote or Cedric's point of view should mean more than Sae's because he is not voted for, which is a credit to him in this tiny little group. So while it is inconsistent, for me, it's the best the show can do because at the point where it becomes people who aren't involved as targets and who have their vote are in the rock discussion, that's not Sae. Again, a lot of the time her vote will still have consequence up to a rock discussion, not here. And that is enough for me to like compare to Justin. But if you then add the extremes of she still gets to talk because she had a vote, I really don't agree. I think her status as a target should outweigh her status as a voter. It's my value system for sure that I judge people for being targets and that losing a vote to me probably matters less. I would rather lessen the disparity of voters and non-voting targets and not give her total impunity basically as a target to have full leverage, which would break the game a different way. It would definitely be more consistent, but it would break the game a different way. Has this made sense? I think we got there in the end.
We got there. I think all this taught me, and my takeaway is stop taking their damn votes away.
Yeah.
Like, this is way too, like, we are people who have watched every season of this show and every international iteration of this show, and we are having these complex ass discussions, and I'm still sitting here maybe 70% retaining what Shannon has just said. So I'm imagining the people on the couches in the casuals world being like, what was this? This is too much. This is too complex. It's I so disagree with having their votes taken away. Now, granted, am I a little biased, Shannon Guss? Am I a little biased that all of this does help Mary stay? Right? The vote, the shot in the dark, taking away the vote, it did. So I'm happy. But also, this is the most. We're doing the most here. We shouldn't be doing the most. I feel like this is. Sometimes I feel like, and you know, let me now say my piece. Sometimes I feel like there is an overcompensation for the fact that the game is 26 days. It's like we got to prove that because it's 26 days, it is bonkers land and this and that, and we need to remove the votes. We need to add. They have to play this game, and it's going to be a game of chance. If they lose, tough. Doesn't matter. This is the monster that's chasing you on the island that's going to devour you. You're going to get birthed onto the island through mud. It's 26 days. Let's just play the game that it was for 26 days. We don't need all this. Who are you impressing? I feel like this is doing the most for no reason. But anyway, all of that to say, that was my piece.
No, I completely agree with you. And the other point of that's so important is this is a monster. It's so scary. Like, yes, Justin played more by being the third boot than some people play in a lifetime. 12 people have not gone to tribal council. They haven't seen the set. That's the difference for me. The difference is it's so hard for these hand-picked disaster tribes. If it was a mistake, it was a terrible one. It feels intentional. Rula were nowhere near. I don't know what they were thinking when you see these tribe designations, let alone the fact that you don't get Flint. It compounds. There's so many things. 12 people have not seen the set of tribal council, and they don't even usually swap. So it's too disparate. It's like, yes, it's hard for like a select group of people, 2 of whom are going to make the merge, maybe, you know? And for everyone else, it's so easy. They're going to go to very few tribal councils. Like it's actually not harder for 2/3 of the cast and what's going to be almost everyone who makes the merge. So that's the first part. And it's also like our investment is in people. Like, you look at the Chizy charts, like Kevin, Justin, they're all gone. Like we don't know the strategies really of most of the people in the game, and they haven't had a chance to play it out. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, yes, like that's my main thesis point is at the moment what the discussion is choosing between what feels kind of less uncomfortable. Like, oh, like I'm choosing for it to be inconsistent. I know it's inconsistent that Sae votes and then opts out. I still think that's better because I'd be more uncomfortable with Sae having total leverage because she won being a target, which is a negative. And all of us in this discussion are having to choose between what feels less clunky. They're both clunky because you've created a game that might be fundamentally broken a little bit. So I agree with you. The biggest thesis point is like nothing's going to feel great. It's way too finicky. It's way too much. And I didn't feel satisfied by it because I want to talk about Justin, because I feel like there was so little agency. And even like comparing to like the Jenny boot in 42, I felt like Jenny didn't do anything wrong. But there was still a bit more space on that 6-person tribe where more people could have been targets, and where it felt like Jenny's allies royally messed up. Like, she didn't do anything wrong, but like Chanel chose to risk her vote. High advocated more for Lydia. Daniel folded like a cheap deck chair. Like, things, there was more agency even within that, which was crazy. And this, I just felt like, was every single part of the lack of agency we talk about. I know there's been conversations I've had like with Nick Callahan online. He's like, well, to be fair, Justin is at least sent on a journey for losing a challenge. He lost the challenge. Fair enough. But to be fair, losing a tribe challenge that's going to make you auto risk a vote that you have no control over, and a 1 in 4 person vote, is so extreme. And even so, Lagi choosing him is probably a positive. Like, they're not doing that to damn him. They're doing that probably because they want to like create a relationship with him or give him an opportunity. So it actually speaks well to how the other side might see him, and he's punished for it. He can't even think about counter splitting on, say, possibly splitting. Like, we'll talk about all this stuff, but for me, it's just there was so little agency of what Justin could do, and it felt to me like he just didn't pick a chair in musical chairs eventually.
Well, here's the thing. Was it entertaining? Yes. I still think I was thoroughly entertained with how the tribal went and the game goes. I'm a sucker for a first time ever situation. So when we get firsts on a 48th edition of a show, I think that's pretty special. I'm here for that. Now, to talk about the things that go wrong for Justin, it is hard. You'd be struggling to find a way to fault him for the stuff that we just talked about, right? Like, if you're getting picked by the other tribe to go on a journey, is that an attempt to get an olive branch because you think Justin is someone who can be, is willing to just share information, whatever the case is? That is a level of, unspoken social game that maybe we can credit to him. I think where it goes sideways for me, and where I would give him some of the blame, is he could have if Cedric is truly your number one ally, you could very well just tell him, hey, so I lost my vote. We saw, I believe, Bianca do this with Thomas, right? Like, tells everybody else, whatever. Tells him, listen, I lost my vote. I don't have a vote right now. Because I think that at that point, maybe you do get the split vote that you're looking for. And maybe that helps. Because naturally, okay, we don't think Mary has something. She has a shot in the dark. If she doesn't have anything, she's being breezy. She might just go ahead and play that shot in the dark. It might go ahead and land. I don't have a vote, so let's split it just in case. And then on the revote, it's calm. We just split that way, and it's we take Mary out if she's on the table. If she's not, you want to ride with me anyway, then we're good. Because ultimately, the fact that Mary plays her shot in the dark, in the event that he had been open with it about it with Cedric, and Cedric had opted to split the vote and put his vote on Sae, then guess what? Sae leaves, none of this happens. So I understand all the unluckiness that got all the way to that point, but from the moment he lost his idol, the agency was in his hands on how to play. Lost his vote. The agency was in his hands to figure out how to play the game without having my vote. What is my next move as a non-vote haver? And I think that's where the decision went sideways a little bit.
The first thing is, firstly, on like, it was the first time ever. My concern is that's what the show is like. See, this is great. This is the first time ever, and they're
looking for firsts.
Mm-hmm. But the conversation around it, I think that it rewards the wrong things. I love first times ever too, but I prefer it where it's someone invents a new plan. Like, I want the game to come from the players. Like, yes, this is the first time ever because the game is broken. Like, if we keep breaking the game, like, it will keep doing that. Is that good though? Like, it's new, but is it good? And I think because we keep seeing the flashy thing, like, look, I wasn't even meant to podcast this week, and here I am talking about it, so it's working, but is it good? I don't know, and I don't want the show to read the wrong things into it. If the players have the space to innovate and come up with new things, which they so often do, that to me, that I love. That's my first time ever. But breaking the game, for me, I think it sends the show the wrong message, and they're like, see, this is why this is great. And I disagree. On the split and on telling Cedric, I think this was unforeseeable, the specific thing. I do think that it's about splitting on shot in the dark. Like if Justin has his vote, he's gonna want to counter split Sae in case Sae is, we'll talk about Sae splitting, but like if Sae splitting, it's for shot in the dark, where okay, everyone's voted for Mary, and then you don't give Mary and Justin the chance to vote you out. So you split on Justin, so he goes home 1-0. And if Justin had his vote, he could counter split on Sae, so that would be Sae Justin, and then they could vote Sae out after that, and Cedric would stick hopefully by Justin's side, and that's what he would assume. I think asking Cedric to split on Sae would be too audacious, and I don't think that Cedric would do that, especially on the shot of a shot in the dark hitting and Sae splitting. This is becoming like a less than 1 in 6 chance. I don't think he doesn't even end up sending Sae home, but I don't think he's cracking from a major ally to split. But I think I don't see why you don't tell Cedric. I think that's my biggest thing. I think it's more like, you're my vote now. Like, we're together, the vote. Like, just like, basically you have to keep it together if we're going to get to that point, especially because he didn't do anything wrong. It's not like Cedric can even be mad at him. Like, hey, I risked my vote and I lost it. Like, I had no choice. Like, as an ally, you'd only feel sympathy for him. So yeah, I think that if like Mary is like plays an idol and votes for Sae, and you don't have your, like in this situation, I don't think that Cedric will vote for Sae straight out, but it's more like, hey, Mary's played an idol, she's voted for Sae has split the vote and voted for me. The Mary votes are, a wash. We go back to a Sae, me, Justin tie. You're deciding that. So just stick strong. I think it's more just about keeping him on the path if it gets to the point. Like if a shot in the dark hits and Sae has split a vote onto Justin, like he will go home, but that's a very small chance. I don't think that Cedric will just split on Sae. Then they don't have any Mary votes because like Sae's then at that point splitting on Justin. Like that's the whole point. So I don't think that they would risk that, and I don't think Cedric would outright vote for Sae, but it's more about if we get to a revote opportunity, like if an idol is played, just keep strong for me. And I just don't see why you wouldn't tell him, because how could he be mad at you? And it's just like his vote is so important to you, and it's just about sticking strong on like future revotes. So I think that it was a big price to pay for a tiny mistake. I just don't see why you wouldn't tell Cedric. I don't see what he would have lost in telling Cedric.
I think that's the thing, because like coming in and saying, hey, I don't have my vote, so you need to vote Sae, bit of a tough sell, putting him in a hard situation. But I think at least if you remove the reveal that you didn't have a vote with your number one ally is good, because then maybe Cedric does realize, you know what, maybe I do want to go that way. Also, just thinking on a deeper level of like, okay, if she uses a shot in the dark and it doesn't land, it's 2 votes because I can't vote. Mary's given up her vote for the shot in the dark and it hits. Then these are the 2 votes. I think that just at least having time to come up with a game plan just in case, because what we do end up seeing playing out is Justin's spot gets blown up. He is now revealed to be the non-vote haver, and he has no hill to stand on because he did lie to his number one ally to the face. And this is an argument that Sae can use immediately. Now, granted, the other factor that we've not really talked about is in no world would you ever predict that Cedric would vote Sae twice and then be like, you know what? Nah, Justin's got to go. Like at that point, you'd think he just cut the losses because he has voted, put Sae's name down. Sae ain't going to forget about that name drop, So you could argue that, well, who could have seen that coming? Yes, but at the end of the day, if it's your number one ally, you don't have a vote, tell them, because now you're basically banking on their vote anyway. That's the vote you are relying on.
Exactly. I agree. And I think it was the wrong read on Cedric, who does choose Justin twice and is committed to Justin. Like, I think I don't know much about Cedric strategically, although I'm finding out derogatory based on the decision eventually made. And I think that was his concern. But I just think, again, he didn't do anything wrong. And I think that he could have trusted Cedric in that position, and he needed that relationship with Cedric more than ever. I think that was what was so important. I don't think you can go to him and say vote for Sae, because then God forbid Mary doesn't even play a shot in the dark. She doesn't even have an idol. She just votes for Sae. You vote for Sae. Sae actually stuck with you, voted for Mary. Sae goes home 2-1. I mean, I think he would prefer that rather than being in the crossfire. And he said he could have voted with Mary. He could go either way. Cedric is closer to Sae. So Cedric's not going to do that. And I don't think he can ask Cedric that. I think he would be happy to split his own vote and maybe accidentally send Sae home. But I don't think Cedric can. But I think it's about Cedric just being prepared to stick strong with Justin through any, permutations of the way that this could go. So I do think it was the wrong read. Obviously, Cedric, yes, did choose Justin twice, and there is no excuse. I know that he had a really close relationship with Sae as well, but the two things of changing back onto Justin after voting for Sae twice, and then being like, but with the caveat of the two people in the tribe, I want you guys to team up against me.
Oh my God.
Even like was the two worst possible things. What's happening, Cedric? I think he was just tired and he was confused like all of us.
I think that is the other. Like, I think ultimately you're Justin, you're watching this play out. Maybe you do leave the game thinking, you know what? I would have been cooked with Cedric as my ally, because Cedric basically just damned himself a little bit. Like, I don't know how that would have gone for me long term. Because, yeah, I think with the caveat of you two need to work together, we need unity. That's all well and good. Obviously, in Cedric's mind, I think he's like, they'll patch things up, but they're not going to go for me. If we go back to tribal, they're going to look at each other. I'm assuming what he thinks would be the case. I think obviously that doesn't count into consideration the anticipation that maybe a swap happens, which is what's about to happen. Or the other side of things, which is, yeah, I put Sae's name down twice. Is Sae really going to forget that? Mary at least has the deniability of, listen, game respect game. I tried to bluff that I have an idol, so maybe you don't vote for me, but I was going to use my shot in the dark anyway. I didn't put your name down. And I think and we respect each other as game players. Let's continue that respect in an alliance. No one would expect it, yada, yada. So I feel like Cedric kind of very much mishandles. We talked about this on our last episode of AU where I said, maybe in the future, if you have a Chizy point thing, you add a new function where we deduct 1 point from someone once a season. I would definitely be using it on Cedric right about now because, oh my God, what is going on here? But also, I do not want to take credit away from Sae, because as much as I can be like, Cedric biffed it, messed up, yada, yada, Sae had a very compelling argument and stuck to it the entire time. I think we cannot discount the fact that a player on Survivor convinced somebody who voted her out twice in the span of 10 minutes in the runtime. Obviously, I know in real life it was longer than that, but convince this person in a do or die situation to not vote her out of the game. I think that is huge. That is huge from Sae. So credit where credit's due.
Well, firstly, Cedric got 6 Chizy points last week for putting himself at the top of the tribe. We saw that play out where he had the total power I think he should have been afforded for that positioning, for not being a target. And then in the space of, as we said, at least 10 minutes of at least screen time, went to the bottom of the tribe. So yes, that was an unfortunate tumble from where he'd come from. I definitely want to talk about this there's a lot with Sae, and even like we can look at like Justin possibly underestimating Sae and Cedric's relationship, which might be a bit of again, we'll talk about how much it should have doomed him, but might be a little bit of like an underrated mistake. But Sae has outmuscled at every part of this pre-merge. And I think that I come in and I've credited her, I think, every week. I've given her Chizy points, and I think people are reticent to do it because it feels so wrong. It feels so antisocial. But the thing is that this tribe was eat or be eaten, and I back her at every step. I back her following Mary around compared to where the others don't want to babysit. And is that necessarily like intuitively what you want to do on the show? Like, no, you don't want to like make someone feel so bad about you, but the odds of all you making it to the next phase are so low. So it's eat or be eaten. It is about pure survival, especially for Sae, who was always a target. Follow her around, like be intense about that, even if it goes against what we usually say. You don't have the luxury of being social, and you literally just have to survive. And that's where it gets to. And even like splitting the vote, which we can talk about, I thought it was uncharacteristically out of character for Sae not to end up splitting the vote. Because is that antisocial to split on her own alliance in the chance that an idol is, well, we'll talk about it. Actually, the idol wouldn't have worked. I want to talk about the split, but then the chance that the shot in the dark hits, then 100% you want to split on Justin so that Cedric and Justin can't go back and decide your fate. And then you're relying on Cedric, which didn't pan out at first. I thought it was uncharacteristic of her not to split. I think she should split. Is it antisocial? Yes. If Justin has a chance, should he counter split? Is it antisocial against an alliance? Yes. But do it when there's so few options and we're playing musical chairs, I think.
Well, I think that if you're in a 4-person tribe, which why is this happening on episode 3 that there's a 4-person tribe? But whatever, I digress. If you're in a 4-person tribe and you feel like you have someone as your number 1, I think you should be able to look at the other, and you're going to tribal, you should be able to look at the other 2 as expendable to a certain degree. Like, yes, no love lost between you and Mary. You're looking to get rid of Mary, but also if you vote Justin and Mary goes home anyway, I'm assuming in your reality, Justin's the next to go. So there's no love lost there. And Justin and Cedric are tight. So again, no love lost there because Justin's going to probably try and convince Cedric to vote you out if you go back to tribal at 3. And you are going to convince Cedric to go after Justin in a tribal 3 anyway.
It's not even about the relationship with Justin. It's more about if you then make it to a merge, you've severed that relationship. But again,
and you're all
that's
still
a luxury
there.
you can't be afforded. Yes, but
yes,
it's so unlikely. And honestly, if you cross that bridge, that sounds like the planned out great. Okay, we'll work that out then. Like if you all made it to that point, then that's like the best possible scenario, and I'll deal with that when it happens, if it happens, which you won't.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I feel like. Well, what's funny to me now is that the more and more I watch of the new era, the more and more I feel like, because you know how when I talk about the traders, I always talk about how the show is still in its infancy. So there are brand new emergent strategies coming in, metas coming in. Oh, don't do this, do that. Oh, the thing we thought 2 seasons ago that you could do to win, you can't really do that anymore. I feel like I'm more and more convinced that Survivor is becoming a different game to what I may have thought the blueprint existed for before. And I think luck is definitely always been a variant with any reality TV show. I think is becoming more prevalent in this iteration of Survivor. And I think that just playing like you are not there the next day is almost becoming more and more prevalent as well. I think, because I feel like with a lot of these games, Shannon, in my head, I'm like, slow roll it, like slow roll, do a little marinade. Let's not split the vote on this person in case we need them later. Yeah. It almost looks to me like you just have to unapologetically play like the game's ending tonight. And I personally, that is not the way I play any game. So that would be tough for me. And with talking about the whole like split vote thing, and the thing is, it's very clear Sae had considered it so heavily because we saw her bring it up. We saw her talk about it. The minute the shot in the dark hit safe, Sae was like, I effing knew it. Like, we should have done it. We should have split it. She still lives to tell the tale, so that's good. That's nice. But it's tough. This game is different. And not necessarily, like, I'm not dogging the show, right? I'm not saying it's horrible. This is in a bad way.
I said it was broken fundamentally.
Well, you didn't say you hate it, though. You know what I mean? Like, you're tuning in next week. Like, like there's shows out there where you're like hate watching. You're not hate watching Survivor.
No. I mean, the thing is, the casting of the new year is amazing. And I always said the cast makes it. I think
I'm loving this cast too. Yeah.
I don't think that this was satisfying. It was certainly interesting. I wasn't meant to podcast this week. I don't think it's good though. And I think that this is the thing as well, is it's like, usually I wouldn't say be antisocial on the chance that a 1 in 6 shot in the dark hits. Like, sometimes I'm like, I respect that people don't do that, and I think that there's like utility in being social, but I think that when it's eat or be eaten, you split. I thought I was actually shocked that Sae didn't, because Sae has been playing at 100 this entire game. Like, Sae will outmuscle at every single part. She played the disaster tribe how you should, of pure freaking work, and she did it. And that's what was shocking to me, just on the split as well. So I think she and Cedric actually seem to talk about this, right? The split works in 2 permutations, not actually on Mary having an idol for Sae. Because if Mary has an idol and Justin has his vote, Mary's going to vote for Sae. If she splits the vote on Justin and then they voted for Mary, it's a Mary-Sae tie. And then only at that point, I'm sorry, not Mary. It's a Sae-Justin tie. Mary is immune. Only Mary and Cedric revote because Justin in this world and Sae both have their votes, and Mary has leverage at Rock, so she can force Sae to go through, even if Cedric wants to stay with Sae. I think I got all the names right. So actually, for the idol, it doesn't work. Where the split works is, as we saw, it would have worked on a assuming Justin doesn't counter split, it works on the shot in the dark hitting, and it goes back to a 0 vote revote, or Justin goes home 1-0. So that's where the split works, and I think that she and Cedric are talking about that correctly, because they mention shot in the dark, and they mention Justin not having a vote. So also, if Mary plays an idol and Justin doesn't have a vote, considering he's been on the journey and his story was kind of wacky, then at that point it becomes Sae gets to revote. So Mary is revoting for Sae. Sae is voting for Justin, because at that point, instead of it being like a 3-1, Mary voted for Sae, Sae just went home. Now it's a 1-1. We've gone to a tie. Mary's voted for Say's voted for Justin, and she's going to try convince Cedric over. So it gives her an opportunity where she clearly thinks she's closer to Cedric and can get Cedric over. So there were places where it worked. It doesn't actually work just on everyone voting for an idol, but there were places that it worked. So I would think that just on that alone, that she would have done it. And I would have been interested if Justin would have counter-splitted just if he'd had a vote on the chance of Sae counter-splitting just for like a shot in the dark and sending him home 1-0, which I think would have been the right move. I think that all of these finicky counter splits and anti-social moves would have been the correct thing to do. So that was like the one thing I was I mean, I can't really hugely criticize Sae, but I was quite shocked that she didn't do that. And do you know what else was so interesting? They mentioned, so last week we said, did they think that 2 concurrent 2-1-1s were happening, but then that turned into a 3-1? And we're like, that can't be right. They must have talked about it. They did. Sae was surprised. She thought it was going to be, I mean, I think so. What Justin and Cedric think is going to happen, that they're going to vote 2 for Kevin. She's going to vote on Mary, and then Kevin's going to vote on Sae, and it's going to be a 2-1-1, but she changed her vote to Kevin. And what she's thinking is that it's going to be, I think she thinks she does know what Justin's vote is going to be. So she's playing her idol, and maybe she thinks it's her on Kevin, Kevin on her, and then Cedric on Mary, and Kevin's and Justin's either voting for her, so she's going home on the 2-1-1, but she's playing her idol, or Justin's voting for Mary, and Mary's going home on a 2-1-1, and she's wasting her idol. I thought that she'd given her idol over as a gesture of goodwill, but I think she was genuinely scared of a 2-1-1 happening, and that Justin could vote against her. So it really shows that this alliance was in a different place than even I thought. It was quite divided anyway. So at that point, the counter splits and the lack of trust kind of speak for themselves, let alone the fact that it's so dicey, literally with the shot in the dark, but like that gives real meaning to the word dicey. But also this alliance was like heavily fractured and complex and layered even coming into it. So I just think where they were at was very, very interesting as well.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, we've talked about disaster tribes on this show for what feels like the last couple of years very heavily. And this might be the most disaster tribe to ever disastered. I know no one's quit, so like that, they don't have that in their disasters. But I mean, Shannon, within 3 episodes, we have one person who is still surviving in this group of 3 remaining, who has not voted for 2 tribals now. Okay, she's been to 3. She's not voted in 2 of them. She's still here.
But she outlasted half the tribe.
Yes. Then we also have a person on this tribe who literally has voted for every single person on his tribe within the first 3 tribals that they have gone to. Cedric has voted for Stephanie, Kevin, Mary, Sae, and Justin. And they've been to 3 tribals. Like, this is nutty. Absolutely nutty. And the dynamics in this group, like, I truly wouldn't trust my allies in this tribe because, like we just discussed, Sae was told, use your idol tonight. Use it. And guess what? She didn't need it. You know when she could have used it? Right here. The minute the shot clears, she could have just used it and moved on. Now, would she have used it? Maybe. Not. Because her assumption was that all those are on Mary.
She's definitely going to play it. Yeah. She's 100% playing it.
Like at that point, you might as well, right? Just to be safe. Just to be like, whatever happens next, I want no part in this. I don't want, I don't want to leave it to chance. So, oh my God, imagine that though. I guess she would have been able to vote anyway.
Yeah, then she would.
Yeah, the funny thing is, she would have been able to vote anyway, and Cedric would have been able to vote anyway, but Cedric couldn't vote for Sae or Mary. So Cedric's vote is already accounted for. He would have had to vote Justin no matter what.
Yeah.
And then Sae could choose to go Cedric or Justin at that point.
Yeah. Then at that, so at that point, he has to vote for Justin. She probably votes for Justin. If she chooses to vote for Cedric, and then it's a Cedric-Justin tie, they both vote, and then Cedric doesn't have a say at the rock draw, and Sae, I think that's right, Sae would decide to send Cedric home. But no, Cedric, then they just vote out Justin. Justin, without a vote here, without any protection, it looked like it was a tough situation. And you haven't even mentioned one of the things about the disaster tribe. One of the major things, and I'd love to talk about this to Justin, because it's like, okay, should he not have gotten rid of Kevin? And we can talk about that as maybe something he can wear. But one of the major things he was considering was like Kevin was really injured, and he didn't want Kevin to be pooled and have them even more down in numbers. And that was like a major consideration. So like, add that to the disaster tribe tally of how this was a tribe that was doing 2 concurrent 2-1-1s last week, who this week it's even crazier. Like, it was insane. A shot in the dark hit. people lost their votes every week. Like last week, this week, votes were lost. Like this was the most disaster tribe I think we've ever seen. Like I think they out Lulu'd.
It's too much. It's too much.
It's a lot. Do you think that he should have kept Kevin? Was that a mistake over Mary?
I think so. I think so, because even though we can argue that Kevin was overcooking and trying to make a move this early or whatever the case, the fact of the matter is the two of them were kind of in the middle of this tribe and could have been fine. Now, would Justin have felt a little bit like he's on the outs? Maybe we could argue that Kevin didn't do enough to make Justin feel secure. But I think that Kevin staying would have benefited Justin more than anybody else. Maybe Mary also benefits from that. But Kevin was not looking to write Justin's name. That was not happening. That was not in the cards. So I do think that letting that person go was not the right move. And then especially if we're going to be results oriented, yes, because not keeping Kevin and keeping in Cedric and keeping in Sae ultimately causes Justin to leave. So
okay, but in a 1% chance where everything goes wrong, like you say, like Kevin didn't want to vote out Justin, and I did criticize that last week. Mary didn't want to vote out Justin either. Like I think it becomes, would Kevin be able to be snowed enough to not play shot in the dark? Because the thing about keeping Mary is she's so clearly on the bottom that she's going to do anything. So she's going to try look for an idol, maybe find something. She's going to play shot in the dark. But you're still relying on, firstly, her finding something or it hitting something. And to be fair, even if those things happen, firstly, in a different world where he doesn't lose his vote, she hit shot in the dark, he's counter split, she should have Cedric, he should be fine. If she finds an idol, Sae will suffer for that and can't even again split to the fact that Mary is clearly going after Sae and Cedric should be with him. Like in a world where he has his vote, he should be okay. In a world where Cedric just sticks with him through to the third round of sticking with him, he should be okay. So many of those things have to be wrong, even in taking out Kevin. On the margins of it, I didn't like it last week. I understand he was worried from an injury and I can't really speak to that without being a doctor out there. Like I think that it's probably a valid concern. But it becomes more like if Kevin is here at playing his shot in the dark the same, it's the same thing, you know, and he's lost his vote and then Cedric turns, like all of that is the exact same. If he can snow Kevin not to play a shot in the dark, it does take out that small risk compared to Mary. But even on Mary playing a shot in the dark, it should have been okay. He should still be able to split his vote that he now doesn't have. Cedric should still stick with him, you know, through an idol. Mary will still be going through for Sae through an idol. Like, yeah, it really everything had to go wrong. I don't know that we can just put it on Kevin leaving when so many other things went wrong that were unforeseeable. And if just Cedric six, you know, if even here he was almost home. He was home through 2 rounds of voting. He was so freaking close.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna put it all on him not keeping Kevin. But I also think that there were ways to avoid this, albeit measures that you wouldn't expect to need to take, because what is the risk? You know, it's kind of almost like the whole thing of like, yeah, I could go to the store, but also I could lose my wallet. The house can burn down while I'm gone. I could get hit by a car. So maybe I just stay home, because if I do that, that happens. Like, well, that's not going to happen. So I'll just go to the store. So it's almost like, why would you account for those things that could come out of nowhere and happen? But it also is Survivor. So you got to think of all the steps.
I don't know. As an anxious person who does Doomsday plan at all times, I don't think I recommend it. You know, like I don't think that's the right way to do life.
Well, no,
Survivor.
I just think at this stage, when people they order the puzzles to like practice the puzzles, or they'll get a flint kit and try to make fire before they go, pretend you don't have a vote. Play a mental game where you don't have a vote, or have your friends organize an org where you don't have a vote for the next 2 rounds, and just see what ways you can think of navigating that. Because honestly, at this point, you should, because whether you would like to go on a journey or not, the reality is if your tribe decides we're just pulling straws, you might end up getting the unlucky straw, or we're playing rock, paper, scissors, you accidentally win, or the other tribe just picks you because whatever the reason they have to think that they want to pick you. Then you're kind of in a spot where you have to just go ahead and deal with the idea that you lose your vote. So I think that that's something you should 100% practice. I think also similarly with like a beware advantage, I know a lot of people say, I don't want it. I want nothing to do with it. I think just play out that scenario that you do grab it because you do want it and see how that would go. Because at the end of the day, the show is all about adaptability and being able to, excel in many different scenarios. And if you don't prep for those, they might come back to haunt you. Now, obviously, I have not talked to Justin, so I don't know if Justin has run through these scenarios and has just, again, gotten very unlucky. But I feel like these are just basically what I'm saying is I've learned a lot watching this episode. So this is me talking to anybody in the future who's got the idea that they want to audition for getting on Survivor.
Well, there's a couple of things. Like, yeah, I mean, losing his vote took out his agency, as it would, and definitely split potential, which was tough. And then I think the other thing is losing Cedric, clearly. Like, if Cedric is with him, this cannot go badly. I can't think of the way this goes badly, other than if he also has his vote. Well, I mean, but if Cedric's with him, it doesn't go badly. But other than Mary hits a shot in the dark, Sae splits on him, he goes home without, on the 1-0. But again, if he has his vote, then he can counter split. But it really feels like so much of it was put on Cedric. And so is there something there that he underestimated Cedric's closeness to Sae, which was also a very valid relationship where Cedric's calling her like a daughter to him? Again, like he chooses Justin twice, so it's hard to put a lot on that. And then the other part of where I keep reaching the dead ends, I feel like I'm Justin like in a maze. The dead ends is that like he couldn't get rid of Sae, like she played, like, is it trying to blindside her without the idol last time? But then again, are you putting off Cedric again on these tiny margins where like maybe Cedric goes against you because you've lost your vote because because shot in the dark is it on these tiny margins? Or are you not upsetting Cedric on like taking out his other number one? But maybe something around the fact that eventually, to be fair, Sae outmuscles him and Cedric chooses Sae. There's a loss there. It came at the, only after total disaster otherwise. But if there's maybe something, but then again, he couldn't, where's the opportunity for him to get rid of Sae? Is he doing that in the first tribal and making completely different decisions and the whole structure is different? And he's possibly at the bottom of like a 4 with Mary, Steph, and Kevin. Last week, is he trying to take her out and have her not play the idol and then kind of upset Cedric and go more with Kevin and Mary? Again, it's changing the whole structures on Doomsday planning. I don't know that I suggest that. And he chose Cedric. But eventually, when push came to absolute shove, Cedric didn't choose him. So maybe it wasn't about investing as much in Cedric, knowing Cedric also had Sae. Maybe it's about trying to cut Sae and maybe losing parts of Cedric to that. But then again, is that so results oriented because Cedric chose him twice? I feel like I'm grasping at straws to find out where the wrongdoing is here for him.
I don't know.
It will haunt me.
Why?
Because it's not fair.
Seasons come and go. There's a new cast around the corner. There's a new season around the corner. We gotta move on.
And usually this is the thing with Americans, but he should be more litigious. Like, we've seen Australian Survivor, they sue the show all the time. He probably has an airtight contract, but there's got to be something they're suing for damages, emotional distress on the way that this went, surely.
I mean, at the end of the day, as a fan, you get to go on the show, experience the show, and you have one of the most WTF exits of all time. That's a fun story that you are there with.
Fun. No.
Listen, the reality is he didn't go home with an idol in his pocket. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't go home with the what if I played that idol? It was so out of his hands at moments where it's like, it is what it is. Like, what am I going to say? It's like, there's really nothing that can be done. And I kind of love when stuff like that happens to me. And maybe this is just me, where I'm like, I literally couldn't have done anything else for the most part. And that's kind of the best way to go. You know how like when like drawing rocks happened and Tyson was like, I'll go last. It's like fate decides. I don't have to think about what if I took the one to the left of it, to the right of it. It is what it is. Like, it kind of takes away the agency from your hands a little bit. And in this situation, we literally have spent 50 minutes discussing what are some of the moments that could have been altered to go right. But at the end of the day, like, could he have seen those coming? Not really. So I think as a fan, I'd be like good with this. This is again, best case scenario is you win the game. Worst case scenario is you go home first. Yeah. The middle somewhere is an egg. You are going to get voted out. And it's just a matter of, maybe I didn't make jury, or maybe I didn't make the merge, but you know what you did do? Have one of the most WTF exits of all time. Like when Peridium inevitably makes that list, guess what? This is on there. So at the end of the day, if nothing, it's a fun icebreaker story.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good story. I do agree that the ultimate would you rather has always been, would you rather like it was in your hands or it wasn't? And for me, 100%, like I mean, I blame myself too much for everything anyway. Like I can't take when I say something wrong on a podcast, let alone if I like did something horribly wrong on the show. Like small example, very different. Last year I had a car accident, and at first I assumed it was my fault because everything's my fault in my mind. Like one time, literally, I almost got stabbed and I was apologizing to the guys who was trying to stab me. It's a whole thing, but it's something I'm working through in therapy. But the point is that like I assumed it was my whatever. I was fine. He didn't stab me, but it was bad. But anyway, back to the car accident. I assumed it was my fault because I hit a cyclist and I was like, you know, first like the main thing was he was okay, but also I was like, how did I do this? And then within a few minutes, I was like, oh my God, he was driving the wrong way. And once I realized that, I was like, oh my God, this wasn't my fault. And the relief in my mind, like, true. If I went on Survivor, I would pray that I could not be held accountable to actions, that it was completely out of my hands. And I have learned that literally firsthand in my life because the first relief was he was fine. The second relief, though, was that he was driving the wrong way down the road. I thank him every day for that. Thank God. Anyway, was this a fine example? I think that makes sense. That you surely do not want to be the reason that you went home.
No, I mean, let me give you an example that's not as important in my life. I remember vividly in the Survivor 45 draft, because we love talking about drafts.
This is the same as my car accident, yes.
No, not even at all. I'm
it's much
doing
more
a smaller
important.
one. Smaller
it's way
version.
more important than the car accident, believe me.
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah. It's fine.
I remember trying to read the rest of the drafters, and I was like, you know, I have a feeling if I pick Bruce here, I can pick D in the next round. And I wanted D on my team. And then when Asia took D, I was just like, man, bummer, but whatever, it's fine. And then when D wins, I went back to that moment. I was like, you dummy, you could have picked her right there and you didn't. And like, it's like, it is what it is. Like I shouldn't think about it like that because ultimately who cares? But I mean, obviously,
I get that.
So, I mean, I knew this would resonate with you, for sure. But I mean, it's like I had the pick. I made the pick. Whereas if you're 18th pick and someone else leaves you a pick, you're like, well, I wanted this person, but my hands were legitimately tied. I couldn't do anything about that. So
no, I don't like ever get over, I at any opportunity where I can call myself a dummy, I will do it. Again, it's something I'm working through with therapy. So at any opportunity where I can then not take blame is actually very important for me. Something that I've learned in my own life. One of the reasons I probably couldn't go on Survivor because, again, I can't podcast about the show. Even this very complicated podcast, I will look back and be like, did I say that wrong? And then I will stew. It's not good.
See, I'm doing this knowing full well that someone in the comments like, Pooya was not like figuring everything out. He didn't understand everything, did he? And the reality is like,
explain it well enough. I'm a dummy.
No, you are not. If you quiz me right now, I think I'll fail it. But
I don't think so. I think
in the moment, I think I delivered the goods. So it's good enough. It's good.
Well, it's best to just not think about it again. But again, that's an impossibility for me. Anyway, this has become therapy. And I'm talking about my car accident. The time I almost got stabbed.
We're healing, Shannon. We're healing.
Do you understand the levels of therapy when I realized that, like, because a guy was like trying to stab me and I was in my car, and then he was like, the fact that I realized I was like, he probably had a point. He was like, no, it's crazy. He was on drugs. It wasn't my fault. I've realized now.
No, it was not. Yeah. Oh my God.
No, I know. I thought because I was sitting in my car with my low level lights on that he was fairly like, that's annoying,
And that's fair game. It's like, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think he should try to stab me, but I was like, maybe he has a point. I was like, don't call the police on me. Peter's like, you call the police. And I was like, all right. It was a lot. Anyway, the point is, where were we? Oh, I wanted to talk about Mary. Mary and her idol, her fake idol. I got a lot of messages. People were excited that Mary did what I always say to do, which is act like you have an idol. You don't want to be like, well, I might have an idol, which she kind of did one time. She was like, we'll see. I didn't like that. Everything else was great. Everything else was like, it's just my time. And the way that they were suspicious of her, I thought that was the right way to do it. And it didn't work out for reasons we can talk about, but it was the right tact. And I like that.
I mean, I think that like the whole we'll see thing, once you're directly confronted about it, there's really not much you have to answer them unless you hit them with a silent wall. Like she has to give them something, and the who knows, we'll find out. It's like about as best as you can do, but I
I
think
would be
it's
more
so
passive.
underrated.
I would be
Yeah.
more like, it's my time. Like it was that like acceptance of death that really got them.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why it didn't
that
work out, but I think that that's how you push it to that even
I think
further.
the most underrated part of the episode is the getting back home from the challenge and immediately just going for a swim. Just like
Yeah.
just going for a swim and just laying there like it's a lazy river and you're relaxing, because it throws them for a loop, especially because she put the legwork in early of like juking Sae and running around looking for it, that it's so now out of character for her to just be sitting still that they're tail spinning. They have no idea why that's happening. And that was awesome. I love that. Just the
Yeah.
fact that it messed with their minds enough was great. And honestly, there's a world where, you know, Sae leaves and Mary's like, well, that worked out for me. That worked out for me real nice. But again, credit where credit's due. Thankfully, the shot in the dark worked, because if it didn't, I would have been heartbroken. So I am a happy person.
Well, the issue is for Mary is that even if they suspect it, there's not a lot that can be done. Like I was surprised that Sae didn't push it further to try and change Mary's vote off what would clearly be Sae. Like go to her and be like, why don't the two of us vote Justin? But then even if that happens, firstly, it's just a 2-2 where she's definitely going to turn on you in the revote, or she's lying to you anyway, and you've just voted Justin and you're out 3-1. And I think that that was the issue where she's like, oh, well, if Sae splits, that's good for me. It actually like isn't really that good. It's still going to be like a 2-1-1, or even without Justin's vote, it's going to be a Mary vote, a Justin vote because she split, and say she doesn't play a shot in the dark, a Sae vote, even without Justin's vote, they'll just come back and vote out Mary on the revote, and Sae will just turn on her there. So unfortunately, even just like getting Sae to split, which it should have been enough, well, not on the idol again, as I've said, that there's no point there for Sae, but just on a shot in the dark should have been enough for Sae. But I just don't think there's ever enough there where Sae is the one who's incentivized to try and get something done with Mary as Mary's possible target with an idol. And even then, it's getting at best to a 2-2 where she slipped on the revote. So the shot in the dark became a very obvious pathway. So I just don't think that there was enough there that she could do, because why will like Justin and Cedric be like, yeah, we'll vote with you on Sae? It's like, no, okay, if you have an idol, great, you'll vote for Sae. And if you don't, you'll go home. You know, there's too many outs for them. And there's too many outs in general to kind of have the plan actively shift where her vote becomes necessary. So she plays the shot in the dark, which was the right move.
Do you think there's a world where Mary can still play the gambit of, yeah, well, I still have my idol. I just wanted to take the shot in the dark risk first, because then I have my idol for another day?
I mean, she should do that. Definitely.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. I would need to go back and see how she celebrates the shot in the dark hitting. But you would celebrate anyway. I mean, it's a huge moment.
Yeah, it's
and then you get to keep your idol in this universe.
Yeah, you have a backup. You have a backup ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, she should definitely do that. She should definitely keep it trying, because that's what we always say, right? That's what Josh Kettles always says about the shot and the idol chaser. So she would have just done that to try to keep the idol, and it worked in this world, and she still has her idol.
Yeah, I think if you're there's a night where you're trying to play, like you're looking to just be safe, I think 100% do the shot in the dark first, because then if you save it, you have a bonus for later, and if it misses, then you just use it right then, and you're still safe anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a couple of other finicky things about this. Firstly, it's mainly this. In a world where we see it, so Mary shot in the dark is hit, they go back on the revote, and only Sae and Cedric can vote. But in this world, Cedric goes for Sae, as we saw, but Sae votes for Cedric, not Justin. Now, what happens here? Because I was talking to Kristen Nubicki about this, and by the way, it is one of the great joys of my life that when a weird episode happens, Christian messages me.
Have you done a tour of all the survivors here? Like, you've gotten a lot of opinions on this.
Christian messaged me and he's like, what do you think about the rules? And I was like, Christian, I love that you come to me about this. Like, genuinely, it's one of the joys of my life. And that actually maybe makes how the game being broken worth it for me, because then Christian and I talk about the revote rules, and I'm like, one day we have to podcast about this, which we absolutely do, but we chat about it in the DMs, and it's genuinely
Shannon, the name dropper Gus over here.
Well, this is I need to name drop Christian, because we disagreed. I thought that Sae and Cedric would make fire. he thought that Justin would go to the unanimous decision without the ability to come to a consensus because he doesn't have a vote and be auto-rocked out. And I wouldn't have come to that conclusion myself. That's just a pure Chris Newbicky opinion. Which one do you?
I'm happy
What
we have to see
happened
this
in that?
play out.
You think what? You think what?
I feel like at least with what we got, there's a through line that I can follow. I cannot follow this alternate scenario
No,
right
okay, I
now
can
that
do
was
it.
set.
I can do it. We can do it. Okay.
No, that
It's
wasn't a
exactly-
challenge. That
No,
was not a challenge.
Listen, in this world, Sae and Cedric have voted for each other, so they're the only two targets, and then Mary and Justin don't have votes. So no one
Yeah.
can go to the rocks discussion. So does Justin go to rocks but not be able to pull a rock? Will not be able to come to a decision because he doesn't have a vote and get auto rocked out, or do Sae and Cedric just make fire? They're not going to fire enough. I never thought I would say that, but you would think that they would be more going to fire.
Dare I say Shaheen ahead of his time with his take in the preseason?
I think they go to fire. I think if it's just Sae v Cedric, Justin and Mary are like basically not. They're not voting. They're voting against each other. It's a deadlock. I think they go to fire. I think they do.
But not for nothing. I feel like, especially with fire making being a part of the game now, with it being like you have to do it at Final Four, or two people have to. That means most players are going to be prepared for that. Why not have that be what happens there in a deadlock situation? Because you know what the show's not going to want, Shannon, is to be like, yeah, we forced this person to not have a vote, and now they are forced to automatically rock draw out of the game because they didn't have one. That's on them. That's on them at that point.
I mean, I think they would be like, first time ever. I think they'd probably like that. But
first
it would
time
be
ever.
wrong.
We voted out Justin. We did. We did this.
It's possible that would happen. It is, and it would be infuriating. I think out of context account, don't take we need to go to fire more and put that on the account. Firstly, well,
now they're gonna rule 101 when you don't want an out of context clip, you do not mention the person you want to avoid.
Well, honestly, fire would be the go there. That would be definitely better than auto rocking Justin out, and he'd only be slightly more screwed than he even was.
All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the first thing she said about fire making and the second thing and stitch them together and make it one big tweet.
Oh my God. Well, how much does the show realize we're thinking about this? Does the show know that I was meant to take this week off and now I'm here talking about this? Like, how much do they think about what we're gaming, about what they're putting out there?
I feel like the show is having a beer somewhere, not even thinking about this. Like, on to the next episode.
It's a romantic relationship where it's the different attachment styles where one person just does not care, and then the rest of us are all like, me and Kristen are in the DMs. Like, what would have happened? And they're like, if what happens? And I'm like, if that, and they're like, what? And that is it. Genuinely, like last week I talked about how I didn't like the numbers mechanism. You know, that to choose 1 to 5, and then I really enjoyed the whole week people were discussing how to game the numbers mechanism. You know, like a majority can choose 1 to 3 to make sure, or 1 to 4, a majority can make sure that that one of them will always go. People in the minority will just like team up with other numbers, but one of them will always go. And I was like, that would be terrible for production because it's like not antisocial, but they've gamed it to actually keep the outsiders out. And then I was like, does the show think that we're gaming this all week? Or did they think that's a little game? And I don't know. It haunts me. That in the car.
I want to say it shouldn't and give you reassurances. I have a feeling that won't change anything, Shannon. So I'll just... No. Your feelings are valid.
I think more about the show than they do is my... But and that's a very high bar because I think about it a lot. But I'm just saying that it's a little... it's a little concerning. Right.
Yeah, there's people in the fandom that I've had the pleasure of meeting that have made me realize maybe I am a casual because I thought I was a fan. You are one of the people mentioned. Yes.
I love it because I do think after this, I did get a lot of questions about people cared. Andy cared, Kristen cared, other names dropped cared, and the listeners cared, and they care about the gaming, the mechanism of going.
They know who to go to. They know who cares the most.
We really have found our tiny little community of weirdos. They can out of context account that if you want.
I mean, that's why I get all the questions about traders. They're like, yeah, Puya's gonna, let's see what Puya's thought is. And I'm like, I got you.
Yeah.
Survivor, I'm a passenger, baby. I'm a passenger princess.
I had to podcast about it this week because again, it was our group of people who were like, but what would happen in this scenario? And that is be on. But I will say as well, over an hour into this podcast, we've spoken about Vula, we've done therapy, not mentioning the other tribes, which is valid because they've not started playing yet. Well, I'll talk about them at the Chizy a little bit when we get into that now, but I think it's fair that we've done this, an hour on Vula and just Vula alone.
Yeah. I mean, they took most of the episode, so why not?
Yeah, okay. We'll get to it a little bit, but honestly, there's so little there comparatively. They're just in different universes from Vula, but take it away, Jacob Sega Weinstein and MC Color.
1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's getting kind of Chissy. 3, 2, 1.
The charts are so sad. Look at Justin. Look at Kevin. Devastating. People who are the two people from the premiere, Justin and Kevin, right, were like they're at the top of the tribe. Now the people at the top of the tribe technically are Sae and Mary. Like we went on a journey, and again, 12 people have not seen Tribal Council, and that's where we're at, which is crazy. Who are your Chizy points, and what are your thoughts generally about who you want to reward here?
First of all, justice to my guy Chappelle, who's not going to know what this feels like, as I am the only non-Survivor AU alum getting to dish out some Chizzies on Survivor US. I'm very excited.
I think okay. Didn't we cover like a 43 episode once?
Oh, I mean, listen, your mind is definitely a lot more intact than my mind. So
does it sound intact? Did I come across as stable on this podcast?
Your memory is stronger than mine.
That's fair.
I'm not going to recall.
Good memory.
Yeah. Okay, so where do I want to give my points here?
You were fighting for Chizy points, and now you're giving them twice today.
I know, I'm blessed. Right. What can I say? You know, you manifest things in this world and you get them. Okay, all right. I'm noticing, Shannon, there's a person on the Vula tribe that has yet to receive a Chizy point.
True.
And I think it's time we change that.
Okay.
It's time we change that. And in this moment, I would like to go ahead and give 3 points to Mary.
3 points to Mary.
This is what happens when you give me ammunition.
What? I thought you were going to give 1 point to Mary. Mary was voting out and hit a 1 and 6.
I will be very honest. I'll be very honest. I'm very fluid and willing to change my mind because we have not talked about 12 other people. So I almost would rather you go first. But Mary's getting points. Mary's getting points here, and here's why.
It's fair, yeah.
I think seeing that Mary and Sae can look at each other and game respect game is huge. I think we don't see this kind of relationship enough on Survivor where two people are not gelling or they're looking at getting each other up, but they can also be like, you know what? I respect that. Hearing Mary say, I love playing this game with Sae because she makes it fun by giving me the workaround on whatever we're doing right now, and I wouldn't want to play this any other way. Love that. I think also credit to Mary for not only giving everything she has to try and find an idol, but also in the event that she doesn't find an idol, is able to play it cool. I do not think it is like, we've talked about a lot about our psyche on these things, Shannon. I don't think I would do well if I go back to the beach knowing that they're probably putting my name down. I don't think I could handle it as calmly as Mary did. Now, granted, Mary might be like, listen, my number has been coming up. So if this shot in the dark doesn't work, you know what? GG's, I tried. I understand that. But in the moment, it would still be aching at me at the idea that I'm going and the idea that I should probably not look anymore because I'm probably not going to find it. She didn't give up, and I think that's the fun thing because typically people will associate giving up to or not giving up to, oh, she spent the entire time leading the tribal looking for the idol. But I don't think she gave up. She just made a more passive looking move that was actually a very fun mental warfare move, which did throw Sae in the blender a little bit, did throw a little bit of like, oh, where should we vote? Should we split, not split, whatever. And I think that was fun. And then ultimately had the safest seat in the entire tribal council the minute she gets the safety. And she gets a first row seat to watch this monumental first time ever, knowing full well, no matter what these three have up their sleeves or do, I'm not going home tonight. And I think that was awesome. And then by being a passive viewer of this tribal, Shannon, she is given a golden ticket. She is one half of the now play nice. You two need to be friends now and move forward.
Yeah.
Mary's going back home, back to Vula before that interaction. Going back to Vula, like, I'm safe tonight no matter what. I'm probably cooked next time because I also don't have a shot in the dark anymore. Maybe I find the idol. Who knows? And now she has what? A potential ally up her sleeve because she did not vote for Sae twice here. Cedric did. And also Cedric said, you two be friends. So to me, all of those are Mary, which is why, actually, I know I said I'm more fluid on it. I changed my mind. Call me fickle. 3 points to Mary. Let's get her on the board now.
I see it. I wouldn't give 3 points. I will give an honorable mention. I think the thing for me with Mary is while I think the bluffing the idol was done very well, again, it doesn't work and there aren't enough outs for how it can help her. The others have too many outs for how they can kind of target her regardless. And it doesn't actually change anything as much as it was a good attempt. Then choosing to play the shot in the dark was definitely a really good, like the right move. But I can't just give points for that's results oriented that it hit, like in a different world, it doesn't hit and she goes home. And a lot of people know they're on the bottom and play their shot in the dark. I can't give 3 points for it, let alone 1, but I definitely give an honorable mention. She didn't do anything wrong in this episode, but I think that most of how she furthered herself was like things hit well. As much as she made good decisions, there wasn't a lot she could do, but those small decisions were maximized to their
Shannon,
her on that. That's
we spent an hour talking about how unlucky Justin is. Mary was the luckiest person in this episode.
She was. And that's not what the Chizy's for, though.
Well, it is to me because listen, my other option was Shaheen for 3 points just because he's my Persian king. So how would that have felt?
That would have been silly in an episode where it feels like he was leapfrogged as stars number 1 or 2. And Thomas and Bianca
6 points go to the people we didn't see this episode. Chrissy's getting 2 points, and here's why. I'm just kidding.
Well, we do that a lot in Australian Survivor. I think there was enough here that people are doing actively good things. There's a lot of good options. I mean, well, the first thing I'll say before we get to the other tribes is I'm giving 3 points to Sae. She fought and won the battle to keep herself there. Like at every single step of this pre-swap. She has muscle at every point. Even though she didn't split the vote, it's a small criticism. She pulls Cedric over the line in a baffling way for Cedric. And while it's Cedric's mistake, Sae is the one. And the same way that you credit, and I do credit Mary for that, but the same way that you credit the respect that Mary and Sae have for each other, like I'm crediting Sae on that as well. The fact that Mary likes Sae, and while we're talking about it being antisocial gameplay, but she now has a fairly good relationship with Sae where it feels like they could work together in the future, you can definitely credit Mary on that, and you can credit Sae, and I am 3 points for Sae on this. And
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Yes.
Earlier in this very podcast, you did mention that you like to penalize players who are targeted, who get votes, and Sae received votes from what she believed to be her number 1 ally twice.
Yeah, should Justin be getting points? But the thing is that then she ends up winning it. And while she does receive votes, it's votes where at first, and again, as I said, Justin could try to get Cedric to split a vote and Cedric won't. So Cedric is prioritizing Sae. And yes, Sae gets votes when a shot in the dark hits. It's meant to be a 3-on-1 on Mary. And then there are very, very few other options. And while Cedric does choose Justin first, and Justin could probably get a memorial Chizy point, considering how this went, eventually Sae does win out. She fights to take the target off. And I feel like she earns that. She literally battled for her spot in the game and won, and comes out with a relationship with Mary that is a credit to her and Mary. There's more than enough there, I think. She was a target, but who could, like, everyone except Cedric was a target. I'm not going to give Cedric points. Like, it was very, very musical chairs, at a point. Now we can talk about the other tribes because that's where I'm kind of going. Fever are so interesting because they're so congenial. Like even Camilla coming back now and like sharing the extra vote, which I thought was great because extra votes are useless. Mitch has shared his advantage, his block of vote too. This tribe, to me, like they've never had to play out any cracks. Like I don't think that either of these tribes have any real cracks other than Star and Eva, which speaks for itself. But otherwise, I think that if any of them wind up on the swap together, I know the tribes are out there, I just haven't really looked at it. But I think anyone can work together other than Eva and Star from all of Fever and all of Lagi. I think I saw that Eva and Star together. Yeah. But other than that, I think everyone's super congenial. So for Siva, I'm really looking at like a Kyle. Kyle who's so central, Kyle who's looked at in both alliances, He has an idol. I really love from Carl. I think some people were making fun of this online, but it was such a sweet moment when David's coming to him, and I love the complexity we got from David. But when David's like, I live in a trailer on my dad's property. He's like, that's so cool, man. And it was so sweet. And David's like, it is not cool. But he was trying. And it was so earnest. He's like, does your dad have a big property? He's like, no, it's just like a regular house. He was trying so hard.
It was just a little too quick of a response. Like if he had said it with 2 more seconds delay, I think it's a lot more calm than immediate snap, like sick, man. It's like, no.
So hard. It was such a kind way to instinctively respond with like the best of intentions. And I know some people thought it was like tone deaf, but I loved it. And he is the person that Mitch is coming to, and he is so central. And like if he ends up on a tribe with anyone from Siva, let alone his idol, I think he's well good to go. So I'm giving 2 points to Kyle. And then on Lagi, I'm going to give a point to Thomas, who I also feel is in like such a good spot. Like again, he leapfrogs what would look like Joe and Shaheen for Stars Alliance. Eva throws out Bianca and Thomas's names, which was obviously a terrible unforced error. And they create this alliance, but he still also has the guys. Like, I feel like he's also really good with everyone. He's super close to Bianca. And Bianca hilariously tells him that she lost her vote. And he doesn't share that he has a vote steal, which completely solves that issue. Like, not only does he have something, but it like completely solves her problem of not having a vote, assuming they're together. And he doesn't tell her, which I kind of feel like you can tell your number one about something like a vote steal. Again, you're going to need allies to make a vote steal work. It's not an idol. It's not an individual advantage. But I just like his spot. And he's my last draft pick left. So that's kind of where I see these other tribes. But I think there are a lot of, David's been approached from Siva on both sides. Like Star, I actually think has, she got herself into like some sort of alliance. Like I think you could, like, it's not been a good situation, but I think she's on the up. Like I think there are some good options for the people who have not yet started playing the game. But where were you thinking for your 2 and 1?
Well, it's interesting because I do feel like with Star is someone I never would have anticipated being in the conversation to get a point on the Chizy charts this season, just off the first 2 episodes.
Yes.
But then in this episode, the fact that she somehow, it falls into her lap, this information that, maybe the puzzler should go from Eva. And she runs that to the right people. Yeah. They're immediately like, I don't know about that. Then, we need to make sure you get your vote so we can get rid of them. The problem is they're going to swap. And I know that they're going to swap. So it's like that information is good if they were all to come back together again, but they're not. And they're not going to tribal as a 6. So that payoff we won't see. And what I didn't check, Shannon? What I didn't check is which beach Star is going to be at. Because if Star is not on,
I think he's at Lagi.
Oh, then that's blessed because she could still potentially solve the thingy to get the
as well.
idol.
Like we've seen Hunter get Beware like right before the boat pulls up. Anyway, but I think she's still on the beach. But yeah, there's still potential. There's still time.
Yeah, but because
I totally forgot that Star hadn't got it. In my mind, once you find Beware, you have it. Like last week when I did the podcast, I definitely just felt like Star.
Because it's been a minute. Like you'd think by this point it would have been found as not, especially when you consider the fact that the other ones got solved very quickly.
Like, I genuinely didn't think about it until this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of, and I, this is my own personal, I like the idea of adding more people to the Chizy board.
Okay.
And you've already gone ahead and gotten Kyle in there, which was going to be one of mine.
You can still do that, Pooya.
I know. I'm just pondering my options.
My points. All right.
Hey, I'm looking at the menu. I'm just, I'm still browsing I'm window shop, all the things.
I don't get that because I've looked at the menu before like online. I always look and I know exactly what I want before I go to a restaurant, but I feel like we do things differently.
No, I look at the menu in the car on the way to the place, and then I still don't know what I want when I get there. I'm still unsure.
Oh, that's different.
Sometimes the online menu is a little outdated or doesn't have all the stuff on the main menu. And then you're like, unless of course it's a QR code spot, which then it's like the same menu on both.
Yeah.
But some places I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that was an option. Oh no.
Well, yeah, that changes
that
things.
now. So yeah, it does add a layer of complexity to the whole thing.
Places in this podcast. Barely Fever and Lagi, but we've gone to other places. Yeah.
No, it's been a journey, and we've not had to risk our votes, which is great. And I don't have to risk my.
I wasn't forced on. You were kind of forced to be on this journey with me, kind of like Justin.
And listen, I've had a good time, and I'm not getting voted out, so life's good. Okay, so I think in order to make everything a little more simple, I'll go ahead and give my 2 points to Kyle.
Okay,
because
good.
Kyle is truly in the center of it all, has an idol. Will, I believe, get swapped in with Camilla, which is not too shabby. I mean, is going to get swapped into a group that has a 3 majority California girls in it, but they have an
That's
extra
true.
vote and an idol amongst them. That's not a bad
But
place to be.
the California girls have a vote steal. Oh god, this is already irritating. But also more important, that's the tribe. Oh, that tribe's never going to tribal council. So that's
Exactly.
what Joe,
They're safe.
Shaheen,
They're safe.
Amazon
You know what? Let me
Puzzle,
double check, because
Kyle, and
if I'm
Camilla.
wrong, the comments are going to be like, hey, dummy, that's not what the tribe...
No, that is right. That is right. Because I remember looking at that and thinking there's a lot of advantages there. I said I didn't internalize or really look at it, but I guess I glanced at it and it did.
Yeah, that tribe isn't going to tribal unless something
That's what-
absolutely goes wrong.
Camilla and Thomas on puzzles, and then the 3 guys killing it on the physically. Like there's just I just can't imagine.
They're cooking. They're cooking with fire. They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Kyle is someone who, even though he might be quick to be like that sick, I think that he's a people person, and I think that meeting new people is going to only work well for him. So we'll give him the up there. And then my one, I feel like I could go with Sae, and maybe you will not like what I'm about to say next. Sae has a lot of points, so I'm going to not go with Sae.
No, Pooya, don't do that. Don't do it based on that. I won't pull the charts up if you're going to do it based on the chart.
Didn't someone fix it last season where 3 people won the Chizy? Didn't that happen?
Someone did that. I don't remember who it was though.
Yeah. So all is fair in love and Chizy, and I'm doing the Chizy at the moment is what I'm saying.
Someone did that. I think it was Nick. I think Nick did that. Yeah.
Oh wow, and it was Nick Iadanza who did this.
He's always doing stuff with the Chizy. It's crazy.
What a lovely man. Man after my own heart. Yes, you are on the same page, Nick. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give my 1 point to. Oh God, I'm trying to think of everybody. I'm trying to think of all my options.
You don't even know. You want to give it to Sae, then you don't even have another option.
You know what?
Pooya.
Oh, this might. I'm giving it to Shaheen.
No, Pooya. What? Not in this episode.
Why? He had a confessional where he talked about stuff, and he's like, he's cool.
He, if anything, people turned against him technically, maybe.
No, it wasn't against him specifically.
He was like good with Star last week, and now Star's not with him. And he's like a third to Joe and Eva, who aren't even necessarily in power on a tribe that you wouldn't think would swap and was never going to go to tribal council in 100 years. But
yeah, but then now he's going to be with the California girls.
The fact that the swap's going to work out well for him is definitely not something to give him points for this episode or at all. That's, again, luck. And not even what's happening today. That's a Twitter thread that showed what the tribes were. I don't even know if we should technically be talking about it.
You know what? You should take this up with Mike Bloom, because he's the one who told me where everyone's going. No, I'm not going to give it to Shine. I just wanted to do that first.
Yeah, I'm going to take away all your Chizy points one day.
That's so not fair. I've earned my spot. I ate my greens. Now I get to have my dessert. That's how things work.
Who are you giving the point to?
I mean, you're not wrong. I feel like I'm holding the podcast hostage.
I don't even remember who your other points. Yeah, literally.
3 to Mary, 2 to Kyle.
2 to Kyle.
And I'm pondering my last one.
And 1 to Sae. You thought maybe to Sae.
No, I wasn't going with Sae.
What about like Mitch, who kind of gets something with Kyle going. David, who's also seemingly going good with people, and he's also in the middle with Kyle there. These are options.
I'm going to give it to David. David. Yeah.
Okay. I can live with that.
Yeah. See, we'll give it to David. We did learn more about David this week, but also I feel like David's been a surprise for a lot of people. And actually, I rescinded. And here's why.
Oh my God.
I rescinded, and here's why. I feel like as much as I've learned about David, I still do not know what David looks like going to tribal council. Whereas some of these other players on Siva, I can picture it. And it's because they've spoken a little bit more about how they would play. I don't know that about David. I'm going to rescind that offer. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Star. I'm going to give it to Star.
This has been more painful than that car accident that I had for the cyclist.
That's so mean to say. I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing. I
No,
should have
and
given
much
it
like
to
the
Shaheen
car
and stood
accident.
firm, but I didn't. So
No, okay. Much like me and the car accident, this was not my fault. This was you. It was a car crash. It was a lot. It was physically painful. So you went what, Mary? Then you went Kyle.
Mhm.
Then you went
Star.
Who did you go with the last one?
Star.
Star. So not even
Yeah.
David, not even Shaheen, not even Sae. You go okay, and Star. Okay, and I think that's fine.
Star solidified something. Like
Yeah, that's
obviously
fine.
Star is
That's
still the
fine.
consensus first there, but Star solidified a little something and is getting swapped, but you said not to consider the swap as an option, so that's fine. But yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Those points are fine. The destination
it's-
was fine. The journey was one of those painful things I've ever been through.
that's so mean to say when you talked about how tough this episode was for you, that was tough. I sat here and listened to you talk about 7 permutations of the outcome that you
People
discussed
care
with
about that
19
stuff.
Survivor players, and you disagreed with all of them. And I listened to all of that, and I didn't say nothing. And now I'm the villain. I'm the villain on this.
No. Okay.
You know what? I'm
firstly-
giving it to Cedric. What now? I'm giving the point to Cedric. Then what do we do?
No,
Then
you've
it's
already
anarchy.
locked in Star.
I've
I'm
locked
sorry.
it in. I've locked it in.
No, Randy Newpool, Survivor fact checker, he gave it to Star. I'm texting Christian Ubicki right now, and we're gonna get Christian on it. You're gonna see all the survivors are gonna come after you. Every person I've ever name dropped.
You know what? Andy, Dwight, Christian, I agreed with your theories. I agreed with what you think should happen, unlike Shannon. Just saying. Just saying.
I don't think Christian hugely disagreed. We were more talking macro. Anyway, the point.
You know what you should do, Shannon, is you should invite Chappelle for episode 5.
You're both uninvited from Australian Survivor. Why has Chappelle been dragged into it? Because I'm in a mood.
We're recording that right after this. You want me to dip? I'll dip.
Why would
Oops.
you do that? I'm gonna come into the Australian Survivor podcast so heated, and people will not understand why. We're recording that in 15 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
why have you done? Anyway, Sae has left us on 9 points. She's won this section of Chizy, and it's right. I'm broken.
Why?
Why?
You
Okay, I'll see you in
mocking me
5
now?
minutes. We're gonna do Australian Survivor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just text Christian, see if he can fill in on an Australian Survivor podcast in 5 minutes.
I'm better than Christian.
Pooya, I don't know how to wrap this up.
Well, Shannon, we had a fun time here. We talked theories. We had some anarchy, but this episode was anarchy, so it makes sense that the recap of it was similar. So, where can people find your guest, Pooya? Oh, great. Thank you, Shannon. It was lovely to be here with you. You can find me on all socials at Pooyas and find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting. But I am podcasting about a couple of shows right now. 90 Day Fiancé, Hot Mess Express. Check that out. Myself and Liana hit our 10th episode of the Pooya and Liana Lounge. We did a Hot Ones challenge on the pod. Hot wings, hot questions, fun stuff. Check that out. And then, of course, tune in. Myself and Shannon talking Australian Survivor once a week. They call me the middleman because I talk about the middle episode. So check that out. Have fun with that on a Tuesday while you're having your coffee and your Australian Survivor 2. Well, Monday then.
The next day, Monday night into it. Well, in America, though, on Monday. Come on, Pooya.
Monday, enjoy your coffee and Australian Survivor 2. Thanks, Shannon, for having me.
Yeah, I threw my head back in like disbelief and annoyance, and now I hit my chair. That's why I had an injury from this podcast based on your antics. Anyway, I'll see you in 5 minutes for Australian Survivor. We're covering Australian Survivor many, many times a week. Check that out. Chappelle, Pooya, Mike. Feedback show this week with Zach, Omer, and Marianne. It's going to be a chaotic week. And then next week on Global, we have Eden. I wasn't going to do this podcast. I'm so glad I did, Pooya. You really made it feel like this was the right decision.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that that's the feeling you've had out of this.
Yes. Thank you to all the people who have reached out in concern, because the week that I had, it was a lot. and with some of the AU podcasts being cancelled, but I'm glad we got to do global. As much as it was an absolute nightmare and a literal headache, I am glad that we got to
Pick
it.
a lane. Was this good? Were you happy or were you distraught about it? Because you can't be both. You can't be like, this was great and also screw you. You can't do that to me.
I think I can. I had fun, and I'm just at the end of my tether.
You know what? I'll check in with you when you're talking to Omer, and now Omer is gonna make you want to pull your hair out because that man is a lot. So
Chappelle said the same. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll see you in 5 minutes for Australian Survivor. If you aren't checking out the Australian Survivor coverage, you're missing this. Like, you're missing this every week. What are you doing?
Good time.
We know globalsurvivor.com at Shannon Gates for everything. Eden next week. Thank you all. Apologies. We went to places, Pooya. I don't even know what this podcast was.
Well, it wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did.
Let's do an Easter egg for them. If they listened this far into our antics, put a comment on the YouTube video, and that comment is going to be put cinnamon in the comments. Put cinnamon in the comments.
All right, or on like Twitter.
Or yeah, Twitter, Blue Sky.
Yeah, whatever.
Hit us with the cinnamon.
Right. Thank you all. We humbly apologize. I apologize for Pooya, for my colleague.
And I thank you for checking us out.
Lack of professionalism. And we'll see you guys on Australian Survivor 5 minutes from now for us. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you to the team, the listeners, Pooya, I guess. All right, bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.